Welcome to the Pickleball Recovery Podcast, where we highlight products and practices to help you feel better faster, so you can spend less time stiff, sore, and injured, and more time on the court doing what you love. What's up? Welcome to Pickleball Recovery. I'm your host, Tim Ringgold. So glad to have you. Thank you for dropping by. I have an awesome interview today with none other than Mr. Mattias Johansson, who is one of the hottest up-and-coming senior pros out there, hit the scene last year, and has been just dominating the game right out of the gate. And he's got an incredibly inspiring story of going from 1,000 to 1 twice. So you'll have to check that out. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, and I'll see you on the other side. Mattias Johansson, thanks for joining me on Pickleball Recovery.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Yeah, it's great. So for those of you who are watching, we are hanging out at the Tustin Hills Racket and Pickleball Club in Tustin, California, where Mattias is the teaching pro and I am one of his students. And I figured might as well learn from the best. So we're just kind of chilling on the outside veranda. Worst places to be?
Absolutely. Such a beautiful club. The setting, old style country club, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like I made it or something. Like when I just look out, I'm just like, ah. And then I drive back to, my van under the bridge next to the river where I actually live. Nobody can tell. No, but this is a great spot. And thanks for taking the time to kind of talk about the issues we have. And we've laughed about these issues before about being, we might be 19 in our mind, but we're not 19 in our body.
Unfortunately not.
So, I love a good hero's journey and a good backstory. So I'm always curious because pickleball is a unique sport. And I've shared this before, which is that a lot of sports we get introduced to when we play PE in gym and at elementary school. And you're like, field hockey? What is this? Or, badminton or you just whatever the sport is, field hockey or basketball, football, softball, pickleball? No, that wasn't there. I remember the first time I watched rugby, I was 19 and I was like, my God, what are those people doing? Because I had never seen it in gym class. And so pickleball is this unique thing. So, our generation, everybody came to pickleball somehow. So who introduced you to pickleball?
Yeah, it was during COVID, and a friend of mine who actually works as an athletic trainer asked me, have you played this game pickleball? I said, pickleball? No, I haven't. Well, you should play. No, I'm a tennis guy. I'm not a pickleball player. And he said, so probably a week later he asked me again, come on, let's go play. And I said, okay. So we went to another place here in Tustin. And played. I loved it right away. It's such a fun, entertaining sport, and come from tennis. Obviously, you love to blast that ball, hit it hard, and it goes up to a certain level, right? But and I was fascinated with that. There was some older people that didn't look as skillful, but they were really good at it, and kind of beat up on me, and it kind of hurt my ego a little bit, right?
Totally.
So I went home and to my wife and said, let's play pickleball. And she said, no, I'm not really that interested. I'm still playing tennis. But a week or two later, we kind of end up playing pickleball. And ever since then, we are both big fanatic of pickleball.
Nice. Was it at the Tustin School? Was that where you
Tustin School, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So shout out to Coach Phil Dunmeyer and everybody over at Tustin School, because that's where the day after my first lesson, the guy who gave me a lesson said, you need to go to this place and,
Yep.
That's where you'll learn and you'll get to play every day. And they've created what a great place that is for beginners to just drop in, jump in, get your feet wet. There's always a court, that you can just challenge and meet new people. And that's where we met the very first time. I watched you over on court 10 and I was like, oh my God, who's that guy? But that's that spot and what he's done there. He's created, gosh, can't even imagine how many people in Orange County play pickleball. because of
Absolutely,
Tustin School.
Do a great job. Absolutely.
Yeah. But of course, prior to pickleball, you were a tennis player, and now I'm kind of curious. Do you still play both, or have you kind of hung up the racket?
I kind of retired, but I don't want to go that far to call it retirement because I don't know how long my pickleball career will last.
Okay.
So, and
you haven't sold your racket yet.
I haven't sold it yet, but it is in tennis the age group, right? Every 5 years.
Okay.
So 50, 55, 60. So I'm saying I'll take a longer break from it, but we'll see if I will go back and try my journey again at 55 or 60. We'll see what happens there.
Okay. And so tell me, what was that journey for you in tennis before pickleball? Because, you're kind of an understated guy, but this is your moment to kind of brag. Like, tell me about that trajectory.
Well, I mean, I didn't play tennis for probably 13 years, between 33 and 46. I have a back injury that kind of prevented me from doing that.
Gotcha.
So, and then I got a new job at Division 1 school in tennis for a men's team over there.
Okay.
And I started playing with the guys. I felt like, nobody know me here. I need to try to be a little bit more... having a little bit more credibility. I need to be able to play and show them a little bit that I actually understand the game. And so I started a little bit with the bottom of the guys and start moving up with the guys. And when you start going through the lineup and coming up to the higher guys, they say you really should play this, ITF tournament and be ranked there. I think you're good enough to do a good job there. So I said, well, maybe. So I decided to start my journey 1,000 to 1 in tennis.
Okay.
And that was a goal. And went pretty right, I would say. I mean, I got up to 14 or 15 there in the world in my age group. And then COVID hit. And I was kind of one tournament short of probably getting up to the top spots.
No kidding.
One of the 1, 2, 3 there at least, because you need so many tournaments. Your 4 best tournaments calculate for the whole calendar year, and I had 3, got the national championship and 2 other big of those grade A ITF tournaments.
Okay.
So, but I was missing 1 more and never got a chance to play that one because of COVID. So
close.
Yes. So this is my mission in pickleball.
Okay. I love it. All right. And so far, so good. So you when did you start playing pickleball again?
So that must be summer in 2020.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And already, like, where are you in the pickleball rankings?
Well, in the 2 pickleball rankings, right? It's a global pickleball ranking. I like that one better right now because in that one I'm 1, right? In world pickleball ranking I'm 2. So, but to be fair to the other competitor and my great friend Paul Allin there, he certainly deserved to be 1 at the World Pickleball ranking. So
yeah, shout out to Paul.
Yes, so that's probably more of the mainstream ranking that people look at than global pickleball. But
okay,
hey.
All right. But come on, we're gonna stir the sauce a little bit. Let's be honest. What's the head-to-head
score between you 2? I don't really. I mean, if you just go back to the last tournament, he beat me up there. So
yes.
So it's always tough matches between us. So I had a little run the previous 4 or 5 tournaments over him, but it definitely goes in streaks. I feel like, and anytime it's anybody's games to beat the other guy up. So we'll see what happens.
I've watched matches between you 2, and there's nothing in it between it literally could have been either one of you at any given moment. Like Nationals was a great example of that. Like it was, no one had any idea all the way through. Like it was so hot, cold. Like you went on a run, he goes on a run, he cleans. I'm going to clean the court with Mattias, and then
that's what he did. Yeah,
and then you finish off doing the same to him, and then you guys run out of points, and you're the one on top. And it's what a great. I mean, sports love great matchups. It's great for the sport. It's great for the competitors, and I think you 2 match up so well, and you guys always deliver.
Well, I mean, we have such different styles, right? So that's kind of like Borg and McEnroe in the 80s, complete serve and volley, and Borg was a consistent guy. I'm more of the smacker here, and Paul is a finesse player, So, yeah, it's definitely a good matchup.
Yeah. So, we were talking like now that we're not 19 anymore, like there was a time when we could just like pull into the parking lot, lace up our shoes, get on a court, go with impunity, right? No problems. And we're not there anymore. So let's talk a little bit about, for you, what are you having to do at this stage in terms of like, we'll do like a pre-game, a during game, and a post-game in terms of like, what are the tools, the practices, what are you using? So let's like start, like if it's day before singles, like are you already starting to think about how to take care of your body?
Yes, absolutely. It's a constant thing on my mind. What even 3 weeks out or 2 weeks out, how often do I practice?
Talk about that.
Yes. So at our age, it becomes I want to go out there and practice every day to get
Yes.
better.
Yes.
Physical better. To do the reps on certain shots, but the body says no to that, so you cannot really do it, right? So then I actually turn into the mental part of it. So I do more mental exercises than I do physical exercises.
Okay.
And I
Like
feel
what?
a lot of visualizations. I go through the whole draw, everybody in the draw, and
Really?
yes, potential their styles, and not to be too specific here, but
Shh.
I try to, which is a hard part. It takes a lot of practice to see yourself winning, to
Yep.
see yourself executing certain shots at 9-9 in a third set or a third game.
Yep.
But if you have done that thousands of times in your head, hopefully they will carry over to when it really matters.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what? There's actually published research, plenty of published research that backs that up, that the brain can't tell the difference between when it views, previews, or reviews something.
Yep.
And so particularly with athletes where your body only has so many reps in it, your mind can take over and you can do those reps. Michael Phelps there's a great story. He is a great story of this, of someone who did that, and his coach would have him like play the tape. That was the phrase, play the tape. And the tape was him visualizing every stroke of the race. And so he would say to Michael, play the tape, and he would do the reps.
Yep.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because for those of us now who can't put in the reps physically on the court, we can still do it mentally, and it still has value.
Absolutely.
That's super cool. Okay, so then let's take it to like we're leading up. You're restraining yourself.
Yes.
So you don't strain yourself, right? Restraint, and then it's like day before. Are you starting to do anything differently for your body day before?
Yeah, I mean, probably a couple of days before. If I do have the opportunity to practice a few days before, and I mean, I'm very specific with the times I will practice so many days before, and and so on, right? But when it comes then to the closer I get to tournament, the more straps I will have on my body, and during tournament, the more straps I have, and it's certain injuries requires the straps, especially my knee in this case. Have to have a surgery on it. There's no way back from it, but I would like to prolong it as long as I can.
Yep.
So that is obviously number one part of it. That takes my priority. But other parts then, when you get older, you have a strain here, you start feeling it in the hip. When you bend over, then it's a back. I mean, there's always something going on, right? So
it is always something. Yes.
So I'm trying then to. I always feel that the more I wrap my body or have compression back braces on or hip brace or whatever it is, it actually keep it in line. And when I've ever had it on, I never get injured.
Interesting.
With it. But when it's obviously a little clumsy feeling, but you get used to that feeling. But if I don't have it and I'm 2 days out from a tournament, I'm lazy. No, I'm just going to run around a little bit. All of a sudden you feel that pull in your hamstring, right?
Yep.
And I've done that so many times in being lazy during my tennis years, and you have a perfect draw in a tournament, all of a sudden, that happens. And that was just being pure laziness or stupidity to not try to prevent it. So I'm trying to be a little bit smarter when I get older.
Yeah, no, that's really smart. I love how you never injured yourself when you wore them. It's like only when you don't. And I've had that same experience, so I can totally relate to that. What does that look like for you specifically? Can you kind of walk us through, because you have like you kind of have learned how to layer different tools
Yeah.
to kind of create kind of a synergy for you. So kind of walk us through, like, now it's tournament day and you're like ready to strap on your armor for battle.
Yes. So usually, if it's singles day or usually singles day, then I start at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I usually go up around 4:30, 4:45.
Okay.
Because I know it will take me 45 minutes to an hour to wrap my body up and do that. So I usually start with a knee, some ointment on it, it can be some CBDs on it, some Bengay on it on top, icy hot, some other little cream that I have on. So I usually have 2 or 3 different layers on it.
Got it.
And the icy hot stuff is probably more, to have the burning feeling on it, because then mentally you feel like you actually put something on.
Gotcha.
After that, I do a wrap job or a tape job on my knee.
Okay, like athletic tape?
Athletic tape, yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. I start getting pretty good at it nowadays. I've done it a few times, so it's almost looked like an athletic trainer doing it. So it didn't look that good in the beginning, though, that's for sure. But you get used to it. After that, I have a compression sleeve on top, and after that, I have another compression sleeve on top.
Okay.
And after that, I wrap it with compression wrapping afterwards.
Wow.
So basically 4 or 5 different layers are. Why I do it is because without it, that is for sure, I feel the instability of the knee and it will give out in any second.
Yeah.
So that is for me to be able to continue to play. Without that, any day could not even be playing pickleball. It can actually be more or less walking to the car, or some little off balance thing could really ruin it. So I got to be very careful with that part.
Wow, I would never know that your knee is that unstable, given how stable you look on the court. So that's a testament to the prep work that you do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Without it, couldn't happen. So that's the knee part. So that's the constant thing that is always there. And then obviously we have different issues. As I said, when you do pull a hamstring, it's hard to get rid of, or sometimes can be you start feeling that calf going. Yep. So if the calf sleeves, a certain tournament might be a calf sleeves on, but I always used to try to wrap at least one side of, usually left side of, probably use both calf and hamstring.
Yep.
And I also have a little hip compression thing going on with me, and
Gotcha.
1 and 2 back braces on after that. So
wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's worth it.
You know what I just realized I'm going to get you for your birthday?
What other sleeve is there?
A wetsuit.
A wetsuit, yeah, no, that's right.
That's
and I can cut it off certain pieces, right?
Yes, yes. We'll just cut the sleeve.
Yeah.
Paul would need a full sleeve.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Right.
But, because I had the same thing. I have a hip flexor issue, and I'm like, I love all the it feels so good, and I'm just like, I just want my whole body wrapped. And then I was like, what could do that? And, if I just, are you a large? Because I'll buy you a medium.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
and then you'll be lights out on the court. There, you're welcome.
That would be great. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Look forward to that.
Hurley, who would be the sponsor? We're gonna break a surfing company into pickleball, and they're gonna be like, thank you so much that we never had. This was an uncharted waters for us. No pun intended.
They're sure gonna sell a lot.
Well, yeah, to us,
all people, right?
I'm already sold on this idea. You don't even understand. I'm taking this so much further in my head already than I even am saying. And we haven't even bantered about this before, but I'm like, oh, that just makes so much sense for so many reasons. And I already wear compression tights on the court, so I don't have a problem with people looking strange at me. So
exactly.
I'll be that guy. All right. So we've got the compression going. What other tools do you use that maybe you can't bring on the road with you? Because they're just too big.
Yeah, well, before we start that, people always, make comment on my shorts, So, they're long shorts, right? But now here's a secret why I have long shorts, because they're kind of covering up all the stuff I have going on with me.
Armor.
So that's kind of answer that question. So for everybody, now you know.
Now you know. So yeah, I guess. Now, do you have is it a BMX mountain bike company that's sponsoring you for your shorts? Are they somebody's got to sponsor those shorts because they're like a unique length, right? So
yeah, they're a little unique, but that part I keep it as a secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you'll be the only one, like no one else.
That's right. That's right.
This is my thing. You can't. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving the link in the descriptions underneath this video. So.
But stay tuned. Maybe things are about to change.
Hey. Okay. Giddy up. All right. So yeah, tell me about like what on the you can't take it with you on the road, but you wouldn't want to not have it at home.
The compression boots, it's something that I think a lot of pickleball players nowadays realize the benefit of, right?
Yep.
So
tell us your compression boots story. Like you heard about them, then you tried them, and then like what happened?
Yes, I heard about them. Company actually reached out to me and sent me a pair.
Nice.
Yeah, that was nice. Perfect. Super. Kingsfield Fitness.
Okay.
It's one of the brands out there. Super. Nice people. Great working compression boots. Probably the same as all of them, right? I don't see it being a big difference between the different brands, but that certainly works for me. And the thing is, the legs feel so light afterwards. It doesn't feel like you have been working out. So that's definitely, it is a game changer. I mean, I think we use the word game changer a lot, but sometimes it really is a game changer.
It really is. Yeah, 100%. I had that same experience. I tried them on at the Masters. Dr. Greg, Get Air Relaxed, lovely guy, him and his wife, they had a booth. I put them on. I was like, because it was after singles day.
Yep.
And the next morning I was going to be training for doubles because Saturday was doubles day for men's doubles. And I got up the next morning and it was as if I hadn't just played singles day. And I went and did a 2-hour training session like I had had the day off. And I had never had that experience walking to the court.
I hear you.
You're always stiff going to the court. And I wasn't stiff. And I was like, are you kidding? Like it could be that dramatic because I take vitamin C. I can't tell. It's not that dramatic, but I should take vitamin C. So I'm right. But with these, it was like, I can tell right away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. So another thing is, I've been trying with the red light for back and knees. Haven't had it long enough. It says, supposed to use it 3 weeks in a row, and I never really came that far. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely, whatever advantages that are out there, I would like to try and see if it could, benefit me. So I'm definitely stubborn enough going to try it out and see the effects of it.
Yeah, I purchased a red light as well, and I try. What I notice for me is particularly when it's like 50, 60 degrees. Like my body likes to run in hot temperatures. It just feels better when it's 70 or more.
Move to Florida.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but when we're here in the winter, we're lucky enough we can at least play in the winter.
True.
Right. But I notice my knees, my back, particularly in my Achilles, get really kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's like old oil. Like it's just kind of like it's kind of grinds. Like my joints just feel kind of clunky. And when I use the red light on a regular basis, I'll do like 10 minutes, 5 minutes on the front, 5 minutes on the back if it's my knees, or 10 minutes on my Achilles, or 10 minutes on my lower back. I find that the heat goes deep enough that my session, an hour or 2 hours later, my joints work better. It's not that it particularly feels great while I'm doing it. It's just, there's a little heat. But what I don't notice is when I'm playing, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like I forget that I even have that. But then if I forget to use it, then I'm like,
something was different.
Something was different. Yep. What else? What other kind of products have you been experimenting with?
Yeah, so recently I got one of these Hypereyes for knees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cold and hot treatment. And it really gets cold. I mean, it's a little like icing on it, and they have different programs, a contrast for inflammation, for after practice. So I really like the device per se, and it's all through your phone nowadays. So you just pick the program there and sync it with the thing, and very easy to bring with you to tournaments. So that's something definitely I will bring, and I haven't used it long enough to see necessarily the long-term effect of it, but it always feels good, and they even have the pre-practice routine, so heat it up a little bit and get it kind of soften up what I say,
Yeah.
all our stiff muscles and joints or whatever we have, right? So
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see, but I do like it.
Nice. All right, so we've kind of covered like the outer gear, but let's talk about like the inner, like maintaining the inner environment of your machine, because you had quite a wake-up call last year that kind of put this whole conversation on the radar for you, when in the past it might not have mattered as much. So I think it was Atlanta. Can you kind of tell us that story and kind of what you learned about what works for you? And I think, disclaimer, when it comes to like nutrition and internal management of the body, what works for you is an individual case basis.
Absolutely.
What works for my body is not what works for your body. There are best practices out there, but a healthy disclaimer that what I'm learning in this journey is that it's very much an N of one study, and some things work better on my body, some things don't work on my body. So now that I've disclaimered, tell us kind of that journey.
Yeah, I mean, what works for me, I mean, as far as, I don't eat during the day.
Okay, how do you do that?
That's a lot of people say that same. How do you do that?
You are a machine. What are you doing?
The thing is, I have a protein bar in the morning, maybe one or two.
Okay.
And then I'll have, this is not for everybody, I have a Monster drink. People probably seen me come to the court with a Monster drink in the morning. And it's really, for me, it gets my mind set in my game mode, or, it just works for me.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't work for a lot of people, but it does work for me.
Great.
So that's my day, how I start with. And again, obviously, the longer the day goes, if you don't eat, I can have some bananas if it's on site, but I usually don't buy anything to bring with me with it. I maybe have one other protein bar with me in case, it goes to 6 o'clock at night or whatever. But I really don't like the full feeling when I'm moving around.
Yep.
And so I rather suffer through hunger and whatever. And plus, you drink so much fluid anyway, so you don't really feel hungry. I don't really feel that need to eat anyway. But then if you go back to Atlanta, then it was a pretty hot day, but it was overcast, but it was 90 degrees and probably 90% humidity that day. And it was actually only doubles. So, literally, I think I went through 16 or 18 shirts.
What? Okay, first of all, you bring that many shirts.
Yes, I did actually, because
you knew you were going back east. So
yes, exactly. Actually, I ran out of shirt, but luckily, you get a few tournament shirts at that time or whatever. So, and you have long sleeve too with it. So I had to use everything I had.
Oh my gosh!
Really, that day.
Wow.
I brought 16 and 18 for all events, right?
But and you went through all of them in one day.
One day,
wow.
all one day.
Wow.
And it's not like they were a little sweaty. I mean, they were. If you hold, it's like on the ground, and there's water just splashing all over. So when I was walking on the court, it's literally, you see me walking and all the marks. You can
follow your trail.
Follow my, yes, absolutely. That's how bad it was. I was drinking a lot of water. Had probably a little bit of a few bags of liquid IV, just for electrolytes. Try to like that better than the Gatorade nowadays because of the sugar content and stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to go with that. But mostly water, but nothing else. But again, I was drinking a lot of water, so I never really felt like I was, getting dry, as far as that goes. But start coming to the round before the getting back into the bronze, start feeling a little nauseated, slightly dizzy, start cramping up in fingers, getting this feeling a little bit,
that
right?
Weird
kind
of
weird
thing.
Yeah. But it wasn't, maybe I've had that a little bit, so I was saying, okay, panic, it's time to drink a lot more, and at that time, start getting a few more liquid IV bags in you and trying to maintain. Would end up winning that game and went to the bronze medal to get back into the gold again, and first set, I didn't tell anything to my partner, but I started cramping in a lot of places, starting obviously with the hamstring and the kind of lower back areas, the hip. So far, lost the first game there, went out to the second, and it got so bad, so I finally had to tell my partner, I'm cramping so badly, I really cannot move any longer.
Wow.
So after we probably play a few more points, and then I had to take the medical time out, and the medics came and was checking me out as far as life and death. I was okay as far as blood pressure and everything else. But while I was sitting there, I cramped a lot. Finger, hands, arms. Even it felt like in the chest, or cramping in the chest. It was pretty bad. But you want to complete the task what you started, so went out and completed the match. Obviously, we lost. But after the fact, there, I had to go to the medic tents afterwards, and probably was there for 3 hours, and later on that night have to get an IV going as well, because I have singles the next day.
Oh gosh.
That day. So, and I kept cramping up probably up to 1 o'clock in the morning that morning, even like 4, 5, 6 hours after. And that time I've only been drinking fluid and Gatorade and liquid IV. But the main thing is they gave me pickle juice. The medic tents did.
Pickle juice.
Pickle juice. And I
straight up. No chaser.
Nope, absolutely not. It's just straight up. I was not a fan of the taste of it because I don't eat pickles or anything, but I've been I started liking it a lot nowadays.
Okay,
actually.
you've developed a taste.
Yeah,
it's an acquired taste.
I really did. So anyway, so the cramp slowly went away when I was sitting there, and saying they all said it's pickle juice. That's why.
Really?
Yeah, fascinating. So.
Okay.
After the fact, and it is actually the brand Pickle. Pickle Juice is Pickle Juice, but it's actually a brand out there. It's called Pickle Juice. So, Pickleball for Pickle Juice, right?
Smart. Yeah. Well, that's what. The first time I heard it, I was like, "Come on, what is it really? It can't be. It's just smart marketing, but it's actually pickle juice."
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
And ever since that tournament, I've always had them, and I probably drink between 6 and 8 on each day. And it's 2.5 ounces bottles.
Is it like one of those little 5-hour energy bottles?
Exactly.
Like that size?
That's what it is.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So, and after I've been starting that, so this was in September last year, and never cramped ever after that.
What?
And I've actually been to Florida a few times. I have long days over there.
And no issues?
No issues whatsoever.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating.
So pickle juice does work.
Okay. All right. There you go. You've heard it here first.
Yes. If you haven't heard it before, yeah.
Okay.
Game changer. We talked about something that had been different, right? They changed it.
No, well, the thing that frustrated me about my last tournament was it's one thing to lose to your opponents, but it's another thing to lose to your body. That's so frustrating, right? You just want to play your best, and you want your machine to be able to get you as far as your abilities can take you, and you don't want your machine to break down before your skill set does. And that's why I think it's frustrating to us all who are, of a certain age.
Yep.
Where, we've got to manage both, and that's just the nature of it. I mean, for the amount of time I spend working on my on-the-court game, I'm now realizing I have to be really thinking about and planning for and spending the time off if I don't want to be constantly stiff, sore, or injured, or not playing to my full potential at a tournament.
Yep.
Because tournaments are a big investment of time and now money, and so you don't want to lose to yourself.
No, and exactly what you say, but the amount of steps and miles you do on a pickleball court. So
let's talk about that.
It's
let's
crazy.
Let's blow up some myths about how easy pickleball is compared to tennis.
Yes, so I'm coming from both worlds, right? And always defending tennis in my life, how hard it is compared to other sports and whatever. But when you really go into pickleball, in the last tournament in Florida, went pretty decently far in most events. So it was long days, right? And I had over 60 miles on those 3 days on the body.
What?
Yeah, 60 miles. So average and 20 miles a day. But I also like to warm up a lot. In a singles day, I like to have 2 sessions warm up before I even get started. But so that probably adds, maybe 5 miles to it. So probably average player in singles, if you go all the way, if you run a lot, maybe my style is different than other styles. Have to cover a lot of ground because of the style I play. But 15 miles and you never reach that in tennis. I'm telling you that much. And
no kidding.
Plus, you're staying so low, and it's so quick, much quicker than tennis in between points. So you really cannot rest. So pickleball, it's much harder than tennis, especially singles.
I really appreciate hearing that, because I always hear the same trope, which is that, like, I'll play tennis until I can't, and then I'll take it easy and play pickleball, and that'll be easier. And what I've noticed playing pickleball, like you said, getting low. So it's interesting, as suburbanites, which most of us are, urbanites or suburbanites, we don't bend past this much to take a step. And then we sit down or we stand up, but we don't stay engaged in that in-between area. Mm-hmm. So all those muscles don't get worked out. But when you're playing singles, they're getting worked out the whole time. And then the other thing that I had discovered was that, and I had read this research paper looking at people's core body temperature during sports and how critical temperature management is to the sport as well. So in tennis, the in between each point, the ball goes into the net or it goes out or it's a winner or whatever, start the clock. There's a certain number of seconds before the next serve starts. And that amount of time multiplied over all those sets is actually an incredible amount of rest time that the body has to cool itself down. In pickleball, we don't have that. We play 3 times as many points per minute that you do in tennis. So the body doesn't get a chance to recover in the midst of playing. And I think that's like one of those subtler things that people would never know.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You would never know.
And, when non-professional tennis players, when they play long matches too, they don't have ball boys, right? So they can really drag even more so to go picking up this ball. So it's more than a 25 seconds clock, than what it is in professionals. So even more resting time. So it's probably the ratio 4-1 in pickleball per point compared to tennis.
Yeah.
Plus in tennis, if you really come to that cramping state, you can actually hit the ball a bit higher over the net to be able then to raise your legs up and standing up and waiting a little bit to get a little bit of that recovery during that point in order to last longer as well. So that's another difference which you cannot do in pickleball, because you have to be low the whole time or you have to be close to that net, So, that's another big thing that makes pickleball even harder than tennis.
Yeah, in fact, that was something I was guilty of doing, and you were coaching me on, was like, after you hit, you stand up. You don't have time to stand up. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, no,
I need a break. My hips, my butt, my back, they all need a break. And there's no time for that. It's like, okay, all right, fair enough. And one of the things I like about going to tournaments is watching the pros, whether it's the junior pros or the senior pros. Ha ha ha. Plenty of love to the quote unquote, the young guns, I'll call you guys. But you don't really notice on YouTube or Facebook as much as you notice when you're live is how low everybody is on the court, the entire, whether it's doubles or singles. You don't get a sense of that scale of how low they stay unless you're physically there. The ball does not bounce. They don't come up. They are bent over that whole time. And I think it's if you don't go to live tournaments, you should go and you get a whole new appreciation for how athletic this sport is. It doesn't quite translate on,
no, it doesn't.
On the screen.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, if there's one piece of gear, let's say if I said I'm going to take everything away, all the stuff you're using, but there's one thing like that the last thing you would let go of in your arsenal of recovery, what's like that last thing you would let go of?
Yeah, it's a tough one because it's, in order to be able to perform, has to be Pickle Juice.
Okay.
Without cramping. It has to be that way. I mean, I'm a big fan of, all the other machines,
Yep.
But, if you do cramp and you hit the wall, I mean, you're done.
That's it.
You're done. And that is probably one thing that's, changed it so much, opened up my eyes so much. So that's really, I would not leave for a tournament without my Pickle Juice. Doesn't matter where it is. I'm not buying it in a store. I mean, I'm transferring it with me.
You have like industrial strength vats
exactly.
of Pickle Juice.
They actually come in. It's pretty funny too because you get the bottles, right? But also they have the 1 gallon jugs coming too. So it's just looks like vinegar, whatever it is.
Yep.
But I've learned to just after I'm done, I'll pour everybody up and ready to go to next tournament.
Outstanding.
So, yeah.
Outstanding. Well, Mattias, where do people follow you online?
That must be on my Instagram, right?
Okay.
Mattias.Johansson.Pickleball.
That's it. And it's not Mattias.
It's not.
And it's not Johansson. Just right here. Right. Now's your chance. You can ask questions, but all the pickleball commentators out there, Mattias Johansson. Thanks for joining us on Pickleball Recovery.
Thank you so much, Tim, for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Till next time. See ya. Thanks so much for listening. Do you want to know the number one mistake picklers make that leads to increased pain, soreness, stiffness, and injury? Just head over to www.pickleballrecovery.com and download my free guide to playing with less pain and more enjoyment. Listen, pickleball makes us feel young at heart, but not necessarily young in body. So go download my free guide at www.pickleballrecovery.com. See you next time.